Working? Uh, are we working? That's the question. We'll soon find out in a second. Yes, look, I'm a little bit, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit late. Like, there was a lot to work out, and I'm trying to capture two cameras at the same time for part of this presentation. So it actually, like, the camera wasn't working, and it was not easy to set up. I haven't normally had to try to capture two cameras. So this is the first time for me. This is, again, part of the Dungeon Master preparation, a class that I've been running, and it will continue into the future. So I'm going to post a poll. My suggestion to you is grab some food, some drink, get comfortable, make sure that you are prepared for a lot of information. We are absolutely going to be doing some practice improvising. So for those of you who want to do that, absolutely, at least some demonstration, okay? My sound seems to be fine, so I'm going to unplug my headphones, and we'll go straight into it. I think it's about half an hour. I don't know. I haven't actually run this class before. This is the very first time, so I don't know exactly how long it is, but I'll try to keep it as simple and as swift as I can. All right. Let's see if this works. Hi, welcome to How to D&D. My name is Fred Weller, and today I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons. Because, well, I kind of always do, but not just Dungeons and Dragons. What we're going to talk about is learning to improvise, and all of the things that I'm going to present today you can utilize in any form of role-play game. It's not just Dungeons and Dragons. You can apply it to any role-play game whatsoever. Learning to improvise is a tool that is transferable. So it's actually very good to have, and outside of playing any kind of game, it's also very good to have learning to improvise. So this is part of the Dungeon Master Preparation class, Lesson 6, Learning to Improvise. I'm going to give you a lot of information today. I'm going to go through my little overview, sort of give you an idea of what we're going to cover. So first off, our overview and our purpose. I'm going to cover some of the improvising methods that are available to you, that I'm going to discuss. They're not the only ones, but they are the ones that people tend to use the most. Then there's also Rory's story cubes. You've probably heard about Rory's story cubes before, so I'm going to talk about them, and we're probably going to use them today as well. Plot twist cards. We're going to probably use those, and I'm going to talk about plot twist cards and how you can incorporate them into your game. I'm going to talk about random charts. That's probably the one you're most familiar with. You may have heard of plot points, which is detailed in the Dungeon Master Guide for 5e. It's really just another take on plot twist cards, but I'll discuss that as well. We're going to talk about no game preparation and kind of why we might do that, how we might do that, and what we're trying to achieve. And then I'm going to talk about what can we improvise, or what could we or should we improvise. And then I'm going to give you some miscellaneous recommendations, like I normally do with everything that I cover. Miscellaneous recommendations are important. So this class, like all of my classes, has the explaining, the different methods of role-playing and improvising in your game. We're going to do some demonstrations, so we're going to actually do some practical examples, and I'm going to base most of my practical examples on Rory's story cubes with the intent of giving you some tools that you can use later on rather than not use later on. Like, I'm not going to just explain stuff. We need to actually give you something you can utilize. Now, if you go and look on somewhere like D&D Beyond, the only really thing you'll find there that might help you is the fact that you can create combat encounters. They've got a combat encounter builder, and it does allow you to build them very quickly. So if you're looking to quickly throw together a combat using D&D Beyond, that's really the only tool you'll find on D&D Beyond. Everything else is kind of like useless to you. Therefore, we're going to have to go outside of D&D Beyond and look at other avenues. The first thing I want to talk about is improvising methods, because there's a bunch of them with various pros and cons to each one. The one that I find the most useful is definitely been Rory's story cubes. This is not a new idea. The concept was presented initially by a fairly famous dungeon master at this point, and a lot of people have been adopting Rory's story cubes in their games for good reason, because it's a very clever method and it helps sort of associate, and you get to practice that skill at your table. There's also plot twist cards, which you may or may not know about. These are put out by Pathfinder or Paizo. And then, of course, there's a whole bunch of different types of random charts that you can use. And then there's the plot points that I was also discussing that are from the Dungeon Master Guide. And then no preparation might actually be an improvising method. Like if you don't improvise, you have no choice. You've thrown yourself into the deep end and you've got to get it done. So I'm going to discuss each different method and break them down for you and give you some of the pros and cons with regard to them, so that you know which one you want to try, because it's not like every method is going to work for everybody. That's always been the case. It's the same thing here. So first off, Rory story cubes. You'll find that you roll like a few of them and use them to inspire story ideas really quickly. The idea is you're taking the image and it's supposed to trigger an idea. So what you'll find is these 6-sided dice, so they're cubes, they're covered in different pictures and they offer different ideas. So you roll the dice, you look at the image, and then you come up with whatever you need to fill in terms of the gap. Because sometimes if you just have to just go blank mind and come up with stuff, it's hard to do that in the moment when you're running a game. My suggestion to you is try playing the story cube game. There's actually a game that comes with the Rory story cubes. Play it with your family or your friends before you actually use the Rory story cubes in your Dungeons and Dragons session to try and improvise. I think that actually putting in some practice, this method I feel serves you best when you practice it before you use it in your game. So if you haven't ever played the game, it's super simple. Essentially all you do is you grab the cubes, you roll all of them, and you start off with once upon a time, and you then link all the images into a story, and at the end you say the end. And it's as easy as that. It's not that difficult. And you can have everybody go around the table and pick a different image as you tell a story, and they just add on to the existing story. That's the simplest way to play that particular game, and it's really good practice. I've used it, and it's worked for me. We've also got the plot twist cards, another method that I've utilized. It's not going to work for everybody. It really does sort of throw everything into the player's hands. I'll explain. So plot twist cards offer mechanical benefits for the Pathfinder game. You're going to ignore that. Unless you're playing Pathfinder, it won't do you any good, or at least Pathfinder First Ed Edition. But it also includes narrative suggestions on those cards, and that's what we're looking for, okay? Plot twist cards, what you do is you give them out randomly to your players. You may give them one card each. You may give them multiple cards, depending on how much you think you can handle it. And what that card does is they can use that card to change the game's story, okay, or plot, or the events, or the locations, or the monsters. They might be able to add something in, take something away. And of course, as always, you should, as the Dungeon Master, decide whether you accept something or not, okay? A Dungeon Master doesn't have to accept a player's plot twist card suggestion. If you don't accept it, my suggestion is take the card and give them a new card, okay? And they can play that at a later point in the game. This is not actually the easiest thing to do in a campaign or adventure. It can come apart on you very quickly with the player's input, particularly if you have a lot of cards being played all at once and you really struggle to actually incorporate ideas from the players. So you may want to put some limitations on the number of cards that can be played at one time. At one point I had all my players with 3 cards each, and I had 6 or 7 players. So they would sit there and try to figure out how they could use all the cards all at once. And really it was quite deliberate on their part to see if they could break me. Because I started off and I would do very well. That was only with 1 or 2 cards. And then, of course, they were like, okay, well, can we make it harder for Fred? Now, I'm not suggesting your players will do the same thing, but once they get into the habit of using them not just for benefits, but also to give you a detrimental effect, and this is one of the things that I need to explain to my players, is if you used your plot twist cards as a trump card to win every situation and solve every single problem, then I'm not going to use them. Once they realized they could use them to mess with the game and mess with each other and mess with the party, they actually started doing the job of the Dungeon Master for me, because they would present the obstacles, the challenges, and the hazards, and that's when it becomes much more interesting. This really requires a group of people who know each other pretty well. I don't think you're going to do very well otherwise. And you need to really trust them. If they don't trust you and you don't trust them, I would avoid this technique. Okay, there's another method, and that is, where is it? I believe I'm supposed to be talking about charts, random charts. That's right, random charts. You know what I'm talking about, random charts. You get them everywhere. You can find them on the internet, a piece of cake. So random charts can be used to generate everything for a dungeon master. Like you can find a random chart that covers every aspect of your game or your adventure or your campaign. And you'll find many of these in the Dungeon Master Guide for Dungeons & Dragons 5e, but you'll also find that the Pathfinder Game Mastery Guide has a bucket load of different random charts that you could use. Even the Player's Handbook for 5e has a lot of random charts that you could utilize. And I'm talking about the trinkets table, I'm talking about all of the charts for the various NPCs, not player character backgrounds. So you find there's a lot of charts there that you can utilize. Even the Sorcerer's Wild Magic Surge Charm chart or table could be utilized in your game if you really wanted to. Random tables work well, okay, if you have them organized and you have a way of accessing them quickly. So if you don't have like a folder of charts available somewhere, or you don't have it set up on a piece of software, it can cause hassles if you have to flip through and find what you're looking for. So organizing your charts and tables is really important, and you don't want to be trying to flip through the player's handbook or the Dungeon Master's Guide. You probably want to be photocopying those sections and transferring them onto another document so you can access them quickly. I find this is quite common. I've come across Dungeon Masters who make up whole folders, and all they are just random charts and tables. Okay, plot points. You may or may not have heard of these. This is overlooked by most people because it is in the Dungeon Master's Guide, and it's a very small section in the Dungeon Master's Guide. But plot points from the Dungeon Master's Guide for Dungeons & Dragons 5e, you'll find them on page 269 to 270. Now, what you do is players are given the ability to affect the campaign. They can affect the adventure, they can affect the plot, they can affect what the NPCs are doing, how they look, the effect that they even exist, and they can affect the monsters during the game. Like, that's what they do. They are very, very broad, and players can just choose to do whatever they feel like. It suffers from the same issues as plot twist cards, unfortunately. You might find that the plot twist cards are more restrictive because they usually have a theme behind them, whereas plot points don't. They can just change anything they like. And if you're not comfortable with that, you will find that a very difficult method to utilize in any campaign or game that you're running. Okay, another technique which I'm going to say right now, I would say is the scariest method, and that is no game preparation. Now, I've done this myself. I've literally, I have to learn how to improvise because I'm not very good at it. What's the fastest way I can do that? Doing no game preparation, no adventure preparation, forces a dungeon master into improvising any kind of roleplay game. It doesn't matter whether it's D&D or Pathfinder or anything. Now, here's the thing. If you don't have anything to refer to, you will have to look out the window. You'll have to use every tool you can think of. You'll have to really rack your brain. You're going to get stuck. I do not recommend this for every dungeon master. This is not something I recommend to a dungeon master who hates feeling stressed or panics. If you are liable to panic during a game session, if you do no prep, this is not the technique for you, okay? If you're the sort of person who maybe has a bit of a drink and gets very comfortable and nothing sort of upsets them, maybe this is the technique for you. But it is extremely stressful. And another sort of side effect of this is this method can often, if you're practicing as a dungeon master, and it will require you to practice, you have to practice to get anywhere, right? You'll have to practice it in-game. it can result in having no time to plan a game session. Usually this is utilized when you have no, like you've just come back from work and you're going to run the game, and like, do I run the game or do I not run the game? And you decide, oh, I'm going to run the game, and I just haven't done any prep. The problem is you can wind up yielding some very cruel feedback from players. Like players who, when you don't prep, some of them are quite good about the whole thing, but you will get some really, really nasty feedback. Whereas you probably don't want that sort of thing. You probably don't want to have to be dumped on or have anything negative said about you, about what you're doing with your game and so forth from players. And some players just won't allow you the opportunity to practice and get better at doing this sort of thing. And this method is just not going to work for them. But then there are players who won't even allow you the opportunity to practice improvising, and they expect something excellent out the gate. Not everybody's like that. It's going to depend on your group, right? This is a method I have used. I can assure you that I usually only used it when I had no other choice. It's not the technique that I recommend the most because it is the most frightening to actually experience, and I don't want to make life too difficult for you. So what to improvise? There's a couple of things we need to improvise, but we can improvise anything. Like there's really no limit to what you could pick to improvise in your game if you really wanted to. So you could use the Rory story cubes or any kind of cubes to improvise the additions and the following elements. These are things that I've done before. The title of a book found on a bookcase or in a bookcase or on a desk or on a bookshelf. This is often something that crops up, like players will say, what are the titles of the books on the bookshelf? And you've got no idea because you never put anything together, right? The contents in the book when they try to read the book, because they will often like, oh, you got the title of the book. What's actually in the book? What does it actually say? Like, there's another way of doing it is using, you might want to improvise that. The creation of non-player character details like personality traits, bonds, ideals, flaws, and motivation. This is a technique that was first presented by Sly Flourish or Mike Shea, and it's a very clever technique. Usually he uses between 3 and 4 dice to put all that together. You could put together quite a quick adventure hook for a side quest. If you want to create a side quest and you need it quickly, then that's something to improvise using any of those following techniques. Random encounters are very easy to really put together. They don't necessarily need to be combat. They could be anything, but you can utilize that as another thing to change. A letter or a letter's contents from an NPC or non-player character that is trying to present a clue that will allow them to complete the adventure goal. Like, this is something you might want to include, is like you can improvise that. Runes found in an ancient castle or a temple or a tomb that will unlock some sort of magical secret. Monsters, selecting monsters. You might have a table that all it does is do that. Sometimes the easiest way is just to open up the monster manual and just open it up to a page and like pick the monster off that page. And that's as good as improvising gets, really, sometimes. Develop travel locations for your party to see as they journey to a far off place. Like if you need some landmarks along the way, this is another way of doing it. Official documents, if they're coming across official documents, you need an official document. You could use the improvising techniques that I've suggested here for that. A journal entry. Often we'll include a journal entry or a journal in our adventures. There's another one. Another really good one is the loot items, like the stuff that they find. And there are plenty of apps and tables and charts that will allow you to do that, but you can do this many different ways. Trinkets. One of the easiest ways to include things they can find in the game on the fly is just open up the page, the player's handbook for 5e, to the trinkets table and roll on the percentile dice, and then just come up randomly with the trinkets that you want to include. Maybe they're going to be found on one of the monsters. Maybe they're found in a location, in a drawer or on a desk or whatever, or in a chest. And then magic items. Again, something we can improvise. So I've given you a bunch of examples, but that's not the limit to what you can improvise. There's a lot more to it than just that. So some of my miscellaneous recommendations, things that I suggest might be an idea to sort of consider to make your life as simple as possible so that you don't freak out and you you can accept what's likely to happen, because it's not a painless process, okay? Don't judge your own improvising too strictly. Like, you're learning to improvise, and even when you're good, you get better at improvising, it doesn't mean that everything that you create on the fly when you're improvising is going to be gold. So don't be too strict, okay? It's not always clear too what the players will enjoy. I've often found and been surprised that when I didn't prepare anything and I had to improvise the whole lot, I sat there and I thought it was garbage, and my players thought it was wonderful. And I really had no idea until they told me at the very end of the session. They said, like, that was one of the best sessions we've ever had. And maybe it was because I wasn't tied to the adventure that I had written or the adventure that I was running from, and that essentially anything they said I just had to react to. Maybe that was the reason. But then again, I've had games where I've done no preparation and it really has sucked. So you have to accept, you can't be too much of a perfectionist about this sort of thing. Improvising takes time to practice. Like, to get good at it, you actually have to do it. You need to practice before the game, and you need to practice during the game session. So expect not to be very good at it. It will take time. Now, when I say practice before the game, you're probably thinking, well, I don't have time to practice before the game. But this is a tutorial on Dungeon Master prep. And one of the best things that you can do is improve your improvising skills so that you don't have to prepare as much. Getting better at that skill is actually more important in many respects than anything else. So even if it's as simple as people are coming in the door, you pull out those Rory story cubes that I was talking about, and while you're waiting for everybody to arrive, you start playing Rory story cubes, and you play that game that I explained. Like, once upon a time, you roll all the dice, everybody goes round the circle, or whoever's there at the time picks an image to add to the story, and then at the end you say the end. Play that game a few times. That will actually help a lot. It will also help the players deal with improvising as well, not just you. Even if your players don't like a Dungeon Master's improvised game, that doesn't mean that the players' feedback needs to have a lot of weight to it. Like, yes, seek feedback by players, but their feedback alone is not the ultimate thing that should decide what you do, okay? It was made up on the spot, remember. You did not prepare this in advance. It hasn't been tested by multiple play testers. Okay? Not everything that the player improvises with their character is that impressive either. So you are allowed as a dungeon master, as you're learning to improvise, and when you're doing an improvised game, or you're adding improvised aspects to your game, you're allowed to not do that well. Okay? So please don't get too caught up in the feedback by players, because you have to remember not everything that they are doing is all that great as well. Okay, all right, so there's a couple other things I really wanted to just quickly mention as well, and that is I find Rory Story Cubes to be a great storytelling game. Like, please engage in that. You'll find that super useful. Go and check out the videos that Sly Flourish or Mike Shea made on using story cubes in his games. And then I would also say you have to practice, okay? Also, the original story cubes, I think, are the best, in my opinion. Out of all of the different boxes that you can and sets you can buy, the original, in my opinion, even though you might think that they're not close enough to fantasy, they're actually very good. They still do the job that you need. Yep. Okay. So that gives you pretty much all of the aspects of improvising that I think you'll need to start off with. It's not going to solve all your problems, but it will give you a good head start. Work with those things first. So please let me know in the comments section how you go about improvising your games, or whether you do or you don't, or I'll be interested. I'm more interested in people telling me their method and style of improvising and how they go about it, what methods they're using, rather than whether you dislike people who don't prepare anything or don't prepare as much as you think they should prepare, and you think that improvising is a bad thing because it's wasted space on me. Okay, to make it really clear, I am of the view that improvising is a skill, like many dungeon masters, but particularly for me, that this is a skill that is far more important than every other aspect. If you get this, you're doing really well, as far as I'm concerned. And hey, thank you to all of my patrons and for watching my video. And until next time, keep rolling those 20s. All right, we're going to switch over. I want to go through chat. We're going to see in a second if everything that I set up here is going to work. Where are we? Let's move over to the chat. Hello, everybody. I will just start up my phone and let that do its thing. Yep, it's doing its thing now. So who is this? This is IXXX. Hello, how's it going? Big Clue, hello. Pull up a chair, pull up a chair. Maybe I've got to get into the habit of taking breaks. So I've just talked for 30 minutes straight without taking a break, which is just stupid. So I'm going to have to get better at doing that. It's probably the nerves. Live streaming is more difficult. Hi, Dinomancer. Dinomancer is a patron, and I've just sent out a note, Dino. I'm really going to have to apologize to everybody. I just have not been able to get anything onto Patreon. And the list of things I have to get onto Patreon just keeps growing. Yeah, so your email is going to get spammed. Probably not today or tomorrow. I'm probably not going to get to it until my Saturday, which is your Friday. It'll probably be Saturday night that I can finally do something. I hope. I hope that's when it's going to happen. Ugly Weirdo, how's it going? Yeah, story cubes are cool. Like, what am I talking about? That's a story. Those are story cubes. They come in a little box. They're not that expensive. You can get different sets. There's this one. There's a whole lot of other ones as well. You can get these smaller packs that only have like 3 in there if you really want to. So they're cool. And these are the plot twist cards. This is an old set that I used. So we may sort of go through some of that as well. No, I'm not really talking about solo play tools. These are actually tools that you would use with a group. I've used them with a group. I suppose you could use them as a solo tool if you really wanted to. Mythic GME is a great tool. I'm not sure what Mythic GME is. If you have a link and you're able to put it into the chat, by all means do so. Yeah. So to make it clear, these tutorials that I've been doing live are now all in 4K. They should be all coming out in 4K. For those of you who are like, are you interested in 4K video? Yeah, they should be coming out in 4K. To keep them going so that I come back around and do this again and again and again, the best way is to support me on Patreon and just pay whatever you feel like a month to get everything that I put up there. And you're going to get a lot. Trust me. It may not seem like that much right now, but it's going to be a barrage. Quite a lot of material that you should find very useful, particularly if you're a dungeon master. Otherwise, super chats and super stickers are really good as well. They sort of help make things tick along as well. I've got a plan. I was sitting here and I was trying to think, what's the best thing we could make and improvise with our tools today that you could utilize over and over again in your games? And so I have decided probably the best thing is book titles, because one of the worst thing is like you constantly, I find it's very common. You mention there's a bookshelf or a bookcase and somebody says, what books are on that bookcase or bookshelf? So making a huge list of book titles might actually be really useful and kind of fun too. I found it usually quite entertaining to do something like that. What else have we got here? I'm a fan of the No Prep GM. Okay, yep. Now I want to say right now, not everybody is equipped to be a No Prep dungeon master. But you still need to have some sort of skill in that area in terms of improvising, right? I find those people who run with no prep there's very few, and I'm not the sort of dungeon master that likes to run with absolutely no prep. Not unless it's just about lack of time. But I'm neither the sort of person who feels like they need to prepare as much as some people would. And I find that dungeon masters seem to be polarized as to which way to go, primarily because of their own bias and their own lack of skill. Like that's what it is, really, is like some dungeon masters feel far more comfortable preparing a lot, and other dungeon masters don't want to prepare a lot because they wind up not using it, which is what I've found. So they prepare and they make stuff up as they go, and they find out techniques to make it easier to do that, right? Which is why we're here. And I need to get through this fast because I want to spend the vast majority of the time actually rolling some dice and showing you some cards and getting some stuff done. You lean heavy on random result tables. Dynomancer. Yeah, absolutely. You've done it 3 sessions in a row. Yeah, look, it works for some people. It really does. And for other people, it won't. It's like all advice. Like, all advice is only as good as the group and the dungeon master and the players at the table. Some advice works at some tables with some dungeon masters, and with other tables and dungeon masters, it doesn't work. So I've always said, try everything at least twice, not just once. Try everything at least twice before just because somebody said, don't do it that way. I'm the could dungeon master, not the you should do it this way dungeon master. There's plenty of should dungeon masters out there. I'm the could you. So if you try it twice and it fails both times, then maybe you need to reconsider what you're doing. Otherwise, give it a shot. You never know. Mate, I have so many improvising tools. There's a lot that you can utilize. Like cards are a big thing. So Ugly Weirdo, I know that Wally DM has a bunch of them. The Mythic and Crafter series by World Mill Games. Okay, Slow Flourish. So let me show you. I want to show you on camera now these plot twist cards and give you kind of an idea and also an opportunity to come up with some ideas. I'm going to show you a card and you're going to tell me sort of what you might do in that game. I'll read off the card as well. It's like, that seems like a reasonable thing to do. But we need to make sure we spend lots and lots of time actually making a nice big list today. Hi, Agile Monk. I love improvising. Improvise, adapt, overcome. That's right. If you do not adapt and improvise, you perish. That's the Darwin nature of everything. That's how we evolve. We must try new things. So here we go. I'm going to go over to this camera because it's not got any delay and I can see things a little bit better. I can also pull up everything. So I'm going to just walk my way through here. Here we go. This is a good example of what I want to show you. It says unseen obstacle. Okay, I don't know if you can necessarily see that well, what it says, unseen obstacle. And you'll see in the black, there's some white text and it gives you a mechanical effect. We're not worried about that. We don't care about that. What we're more interested in is the writing underneath, because there's usually 4 different suggestions that are associated with this. And that's what we're looking for with these Rory story cubes. And so I'm going to read them out to you, and that'll give you an opportunity to sort of come up with some ideas as to how you might include it in your game. So let's imagine we're just traveling along the road. Like you're just on your horse or in a wagon, and you're just going from point A to point B. And you decide you're going to use one of these cards as a player. How would that sort of look? So I'm going to read out what I've got here. So something gets in the way. So you decide about something that you could put in the way, and that's a player deciding, okay, it could be a broken down wagon, it might be a deer, it might be, it can be anything you like. Yep. A hidden rival, exactly. And this is the same card. There's three more things here. An uncharted hazard appears on the path. There's another suggestion. So you use that idea and you build on it. Some effect prevents the use of abilities. So that's trying to affect the player character's class abilities or race abilities or their feats or spells or something like that. This is the sort of thing that a player uses, not the dungeon master. You as a dungeon master could use them if you wanted to, but you usually give them to a player. An act proves harder than it appears to be. So you might decide, instead of the difficulty or whatever the task is that the dungeon master's put in front of you, the players play this and say, no, that's not hard enough. We want to crank it up. This has happened to me where I've presented a combat encounter and somebody has said on the road, and they've said, no, Fred, we're gonna steamroll through that. We want you to, they play this card and they say, make it harder. And so I do. So that's getting the players to actually improvise for you. Another one, this is a very good card. You'll probably notice that it sort of runs with a theme, right? And that is the plot twist. See that? So we're going to have a twist in our plot in some way. How do we include that? So I'm going to read out these and you're going to come up with a couple of ideas. I'm going to talk about it as well. First off, the road ends somewhere unexpected. So in other words, we're going to put in a side quest or a side location. We take the road to a place where we're not. It might have a side road coming off the main road. Yep. It might take us to an old ruin. It's as simple as that. Your enemy shares your goal. So you wind up fighting an enemy, and what you do is you want to twist that and have the players discover that actually, even though they seem like an enemy, they're actually trying to achieve the same thing. Their goal is the same. Now, maybe it's to acquire an item, so therefore if they both want the golden statue, then they're going to be competing as rivals. Or maybe they need to actually join forces to complete the objective, which is to take down the giant monster or the dragon in the lair. And they work together. Like, it's a twist. And an opponent appears to avenge your foe. So that's basically, you take somebody who's normally your rival or not an ally, who's maybe an enemy, and they actually help you deal with or avenge a foe. So you're combining forces. It's the twist. A monster is more than what it seems. So you take a monster and maybe it transforms into something else. So maybe you come across a goblin or a orc, but it then transforms and winds up with 6 arms, multiple heads, and a couple of tentacles and so forth. You can do anything like that. And these are the things that the players can add to the game. Not you as the dungeon master, although you could if you wanted to. So you can see that's the kind of concept. I'll show you another card here. Erratic behavior. I don't know if this card, yeah, there we go. Got it? Erratic behavior. Here we go. Erratic behavior. Someone behaves unpredictably. Now, the players, when they play this, might decide that it needs to be somebody in the party, or maybe it's an NPC, or maybe it's the monsters. And you change the behavior of that creature. Maybe it was hostile and now it's not. Maybe it was friendly and now they decide that they want it to be just unstable. Yep. A fluke causes a bewildering effect. Someone seems to intentionally fail. Okay. So basically, you may find that you want to set up a situation where maybe an NPC or monster deliberately fails a task, and the players see this taking place. Or the players might want to try to play that on another character. Make sure you have them discuss it with each other when you do this sort of thing. Like, there needs to be a lot of conversation and discussion between players and yourself and each other. Otherwise, this stuff does not work. Yep. A sure thing has an unexpected result. So something that you thought was going to be very easy, you make much harder to do. So maybe the DC was 10 on a climb check and you decide, no, we don't want that. The task is a sheer cliff face, and they actually will have to climb it with a climber's kit. And there's going to be I don't know, maybe you decide it's going to be a skill challenge. Or maybe you don't. Really up to you. What's that, weirdo? So do you, the GM, interpret the card and integrate it? No, the players take the card. You give the player the card, and they play the card. You can use them as the dungeon master if you like and interpret it just as you just talked about. No, you actually give it to a player and get them to affect how the adventure is so that you have to respond to what they're saying. Does that make sense? So the normal practice is give it to the player and the player uses the card, but you can also use it as a dungeon master. Hi, Mike. All right, so let us get on to actually getting some homework done. I've kind of only shown you a little bit about plot twist cards. I've done videos on plot twist cards. If you guys really want more of this, when we come back round to learning to improvise, we'll cover plot twist cards even more. Maybe we'll use the cards and do some of this stuff. But right now, I want to build some tools for you. And the only way to do that first is to have a drink. Switch over my camera because I'm supposed to have a setup that allows me to show you my face, my screen, and hopefully I can also show you what we're working with. No guarantees. No guarantees with anything, but let's see if this actually works because we've got a lot of work to get done today. I know you guys enjoy the process of working alongside me, so let's do that. Let's make that happen. So here we go. That should be giving you a picture of my camera and my second camera. I know it's very dark. My brother is looking at lighting sources for me, okay? I'm going to bring these over a little bit more. This will hopefully work. You can see this is our box. I'm going to roll everything in here so you can see what's going on. You want those cards? I used to give these cards to intermediate dungeon masters and experienced dungeon masters just as practice time. So we're going to start off with I thought we'd start off with the enchanted dice because there's 3 of them and use those today. And I'm going to change over to a Google document. I'm going to put all of this into a Google document. We're going to make a list of book titles, people. And it will go onto Patreon when I get a chance. All right. So you can use one dice, you can use multiple dice, but the idea here is we're creating the title of a book. I'm going to roll them now. Okay, so the first one, this looks like a tower on a hilltop. That looks like a flute. This looks like a forest. Now, if you can't see, I wonder if I can zoom this little sucker in. This is probably where I'm going to create problems for myself. Can I zoom? Let me just see if I can zoom in further, because that's quite a long way away, isn't it? And I don't think that's going to, that's further. Go zoom right in. Yeah, that's probably better. Now, can we actually, is it fuzzy? That's fuzzy. That's not so fuzzy. There we go. All right. Okay. All right. We'll shift over. Hello, Fender. How's it going? Right. So we'll go back to where we were before. Back here. So we need some ideas with these cards, because we want to build our titles. I'm going to look at this and say, the Fey Forest flutes. Oh, okay. It's got to be something like that. I think that's where we're going to start. Fey Forest flute. Now, if we're looking at a book of music for a flute, what would it be? Compositions, songs. The Fey Forest flute songs. Song, or do we just get rid of the word flute? Maybe that's a better idea. So this is your opportunity to come up with some ideas. If you can see those 3 dice there and you can come up with an idea, fire away. I'm putting some stuff down. Some of it will be all right. Some of it will be terrible. Some of it will be hopefully good. Let us just go with the number here. And this is going to be bold. And we will just type in here. What else was the other thing I wanted to do here is please adjust and alter. Songs of the Canopy Tower. Okay, I'm putting that down. Let's add that in. So, songs of the Canopy Tower. You've used a lot of them. You've used all 3. Well done. Nice job there, Fender. You don't have to use all the dice with the title. Flutes of the Forest. Mike, that's a very nice title. I like that. I think that's much better than my one. And I suppose we need to stipulate what it is. So what is it? It is a catalogue of Faye songs. This here is a what do you call it? What's that? The florists and the towering wood. Palms and Sylvan. Okay, all right. Well, I'm going to roll these dice again. I'm going to write these down. Okay, so you've got a bird cage this time. You've got that's a fairy. That is, looks like a gremlin or the shadow of a gremlin. Hopefully you can actually see that correctly. I will start typing down the names of these things. I might have to go back and kind of fill these out a little bit, but we'll see how we go. So where was I? Fleet to the Forest, the floor, flu. I don't even know what that means. I have no idea. It feels like you've created what would I say it is? It's sort of like a storybook. Faye storybook. That seems like I have spelt that wrong, so I will adjust that. So if I've put these too far down, I'll move them down. So birdcage, fairy, I think it's a gremlin, that one. I need to change that to a U. Fluistists and the towering wood. Okay, all right, I got that. Let's go down, and then next one is this one here. Psalms, good idea. Very good idea. Sylvan. Come on, Fred. If I'm slow. Okay, so this is... It's a prayer book in Elven. Basically, isn't it? I think that's what we were trying to aim for there. The musical parable. Right. Whoops, parable. I don't actually know what a parable is, so you'll have to enlighten me as to what the heck we're dealing with here. Parable. Get rid of that extra A. Parable. Okay. Enhancing melodies. Okay. The Dallas, how's it going? Entrancing melodies, sorry. Entrancing melodies. I've spelt that wrong again. Let us shake that out. Entrancing melodies. Keeping Fae and Demons a Familiar's Guide. The Dallas, that's a very good idea. I like that. Keeping Fae and Demons. A Familiar's Guide. Okay, so we've got a lot of really good ideas here. The Professional Guide to Trapping Small Folk. All right, I'm going to roll these dice again. This will be the last time I roll these dice, then we're moving on to different dice. Okay, this is a crown, this is a frog, and this is the bird cage again. I'm going to roll that one again. I want a different dice image. What is that? That is a gnome with a pick and a torch of some kind. Okay. Pronounced like Dillis, laugh out loud. Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry. Okay, let me just go back and get these titles here because you guys are writing down a lot of stuff and I'm not keeping up very well. Trapping small folk. And even if we don't get what is actually in the book, we've got a book title. Like that's half the work done, right? Now, if you can roll dice yourself and do this now, while we're doing this live stream, that means that you can do this during your game. Okay? So, I recommend you give it a go. Like, have a go, come up with something. It doesn't have to be that good. Okay? Please don't put so much pressure on yourself that you feel like it has to be super impressive. The Fairy in the Gremlin Cage. All right. Cage. So, storybook. I think that's what we're trying to aim for there. After watching my first 2 or 3 live streams, okay, I've come to the conclusion that I want Ugly Weirdo as DM me anytime. Like, well, good, cool. I'm glad you guys are getting along. A parable is a story that has a moral truth, okay, like the stories Jesus told. Okay, so here we go. So we need to go parable. Storybook about bards. Let's just do that. If you dislike that, you let me know and I will change it. I'm doing the best I can. It's been a very busy week. I feel really bad. I've got so much stuff I need to put onto Patreon and I just haven't been able to keep up. Ugly Widow. I'm writing a campaign that blends Strixhaven, Fendelver, and the Curse of Strahd. Holy Toledo. that is a lot. That is an enormous amount of stuff to be able to get through. How's it going, Chainsaw Rookie? Welcome to the crazy party that we are having here today. We are making book titles. Hashtag. Can I do hashtag here? Bugger me. Book titles. Does that get us in the right direction? Okay, so the gnome. Whoops, I lost it. The Gnome Prince's Curse. I like this. This is a story, isn't it? The Prince's Curse. I'm not even going to get a chance to make my own. It's fine with me. I don't mind. Okay. Local royal lineages and their dirty secrets. Okay, so yeah, let's do that. Yeah. The title tells you most of it, and that's sort of what you've been doing. Most of you are doing this, is you're actually creating titles that tell most of what you need to know about the book. And that's going to be really important because they're going to ask you what's in the book. Like this, it's probably going to happen. Let me just scroll down here so we're kind of in the middle here. Dirty secrets being royals who were once toads and gremlins or something. So we need to add this in. Okay, so this is real events of royal dirty secrets and scandals. I think that's what you're going for here, correct? Chainsaw, you've got Zorok's Guide to Chaos. Very nice. Well done. I like that. Okay, I'm going to take these dice away. I'm going to give you something else to work with. You guys have got the gist of this pretty fast. So I don't think we're gonna you're gonna struggle figuring out how to do any of this. So if you're new to this and you come up with ideas and you don't want to share them because you're worried that we're going to give you a hard time and say your stuff is shit, don't worry about it. Just forget about it because it ain't going to happen. I'm just going to write down everything. We write down everything and we decide whether we want to use it later on. Like that's how it works. I just been saying, don't worry about stuff. So I'm going to roll all 9 dice. So you get 9 choices. I don't recommend doing all 9, but since so many of you are pumping stuff out very quickly, we need to get you lots of ideas. So let me just do this. So we have an eye, we have a clock, we have a magnifying glass, we have a magnet, we have an arrow, we have a scared face. I think that's what that's supposed to be, scared face. A wand, some arrows going in all directions, and an aeroplane, which is probably around flight. I think that's what we're dealing with here. Let me type in the... All right. This list is going to be long. Hi, big kid. How's it going? Right, so before I lose track of where I was, there was a really good idea. Chainsaw's idea. Here we go. Zeke Roth's Guide to Chaos. So I guess we need to know, I mean, it would be nice to know what that book is all about, but if we don't know. It's, I mean, it feels like it's about chaos. So that's pretty obvious, right? So somebody has given me some more information on local secrets, including some relevant information with potential for a ton of scandalous details. Yeah, I think we've got real events of royal dirty secrets and scandals. I think we've covered that quite nicely, so we're all good there. So thank you, Dallas. Kind of feel like Dallas. It's almost it's almost like the TV series. I'm only kidding. Here we go. So let's just move these across so you can actually see them a bit better. The last one's probably a bit hard to spot otherwise. I think the fairy in the gremlin cage and the gnome prince's curse are part of the same collection, fables. That's the word we want to add. It's a collection of fables, Mike. Maybe it's not part of the same collection, but it is definitely fables, because it does sound like a fable. So it's a collection of fables. a collection of fairy, sorry, let's try that again, fairy and gremlin fables. That's what that one is. And then there's the Gnome Prince's Curse, collection. Let's go anthology. An anthology of I've got to get that right, don't I? Pardon me while I get this sorted. An anthology of gnome no, I think what we need to do, it's a maybe that's not an anthology, maybe that's something else. I'm now struggling to give my head again. Yeah, I'm not sure what to do with that. I'm not too sure to do with that. It's going to be harder for me to get my head around. Dear. We'll come back to that. Do I want to do that? I'm still unsure. I don't want to get stuck on this because titles of books is really what we're after, right? Because that's what we need to put on shelves, since our players are going to ask us about everything there is. I'm going to roll some of these dice again. This is a flower. That looks like a credit card. Don't know how you're going to use that. Fountain. Another wand. Let's roll that again. That's a book. That might be more useful to you. That's a dice. That is a tall building. That is a clock. We'll roll that again. There's an arrow. That's a walking stick. That is a fire of some kind. Okay, so back to where we were at. Now I had gotten behind on everybody. Everybody was dropping in pretty good ideas, and I have to scroll back a little bit. What do you got here, Big Kid? Game update. I used Iron Shelley in my game yesterday. Hey, Big Kid, I'm sorry. Notorious, I'm sorry I did not get the document to you. I just haven't had time. I see that you created a picture for her. Well, you actually made a miniature model for her. I thought, did you print it? I'm kind of curious. We, the community, will certainly have some ideas as to why your idea may not work, but the dumbest ideas usually contain the best seeds for something amazing. They can quite often. Hence why I tend to say I am a could dungeon master rather than should dungeon master. Yes, you do. You share it all, and then we can decide what we like to use or not. These documents that we're working on here, they're all going to be Word documents. You guys won't need to unlock PDFs, so I'm just going to upload them to Patreon as a Google Doc or a text doc, and you can just go through and change and copy and cut everything you want. Okay. If it's a homebrew that adds a bunch of chaotic things such as new races, spells, and subclasses, it could. I don't want to do that though. I don't want to go into that sort of detail. But you could do that if you wanted to. Chainsaw, absolutely. Dill, as in dill, the herb, the spice. Yeah, the stuff you put in your food. Yep. The Deadliest Arrow, a terrifying microanalysis of linear time. Ugly Weirdo. What a title. Let's put that in. That'll confuse people. The deadliest arrow. A terrifying microanalysis, really? Oh dear. There's going to be a few people who are going to say, really? Microanalysis of linear time. I mean, what that book is about, hard to know. Hard to know. I feel like I don't even want to tell anybody what that is. The name itself is going to create a stir. Okay. Maybe about the perils of time. Okay, the perils of time travel. Revolving around the wish spell. Okay. I will write down time travel. I'm just going to say time travel. That's it. And leave it completely open to the rest of you to decide how else it goes. Okay? But I like the idea. The gnome formerly known as fewer, of course. Oh dear. Formerly. A spellcaster's guide to civic beauty. Interesting. All right, I'm liking that idea. So let's write that down. So I hope you all realize that you're making stuff for each other. Like it feels like we're almost in a room, and everybody is doing session prep together. You know how you have session 0 with players and Dungeon Master? This kind of feels like Dungeon Master hangout time to build a whole lot of stuff that we may or may not use in our games, and sharing it with everybody. Kind of feels a little bit like that, doesn't it? Now, what did I do here? Did I balls up this title? A spell? I did. Spellcaster's Guide to Civic Beauty. Well, let's get the word beauty right. And you did actually give me some information as to what it might be like. Think Magic Guild in charge of flowers and fountains in public squares. Okay. Okay, so interior design for public squares. Okay. I think that's what we were looking at. Interior. No, exterior. Exterior. Sorry. Exterior. Exterior. Design of public areas. Public squares. Let's just go squares. It's very specific. Dear. Water features. Nice. I have a thought disorder. No choice but... Ooh. Thank you. Still alive. Just let me drink my water and I will respond to you. Thank you for the super chat. Right, your question. Theatre of the mind versus map. Okay. Well, this question has been asked before many times, and I've answered it before. And minis. Okay. Which one? Maps and minis versus theatre of the mind. What do you like more? I like both. I like both. I think each one has the right time to use it. Okay. For me, if I'm playing online, I would like to play Theatre of the Mind more than using miniatures. But if the combat gets really complicated for me to actually envisage and keep a track of, I want to use miniatures and maps, which I do. I don't use a virtual tabletop, still alive. I just point the webcam at my desk. I just change it on the tripod direction, and I have a map laid out in front of me. I draw it up, put my monsters out, put the clan player characters out, and we're ready to go. Hi Lauren, how's it going? So that's what I normally do. That's my approach. So I feel like theatre of the mind works best when the combat is not that tough and it's fairly easy. There's not too much DM going on, and I can't be stuffed doing maps and miniatures, because often it's just about, I just don't give a shit. So, which is fine. That's one aspect to everything, is like, do I really need to do it? So yes, I don't know if that answers your question. Great. I probably should have shifted this over to just my face when I answered this question, because then I could have cut that bit of your question and turned it into a video. But I don't have any time right now, so that's probably going to have to wait for the future. That's my answer, okay? I use theatre of the mind when it suits me, and I use miniatures and maps when it suits me. Particularly for the complicated stuff. And I know a lot of my players, because we're playing online, they miss the in-person stuff, so bringing the miniatures and the maps out helps alleviate that frustration. Okay, now let's go back to where we were at, which was dealing with a list of maps, a list of book names. Okay, all right. Grammar Nazi. Yeah. If I've made an error, I apologize. Ambiguous is really helpful. You're right, Ugly Weirdo. Is like, if you can make it ambiguous, that really does make a big difference. Superpower. Did I miss something? I don't know. I must have missed something. If I've missed something, I'm scrolling down, because you guys are pumping out a lot of information, and so I'm trying to get it all done. How's it going, Derry? Uses magnifying glass with built-in, okay, lodestone to inspect the unknown future only seen in dreams for prophecies. Really? Okay, so let's roll these again, since we seem to be running out of ideas. We'll re-roll the fire again. No, don't want that one. Are we really going to get the same sorts of... It's a padlock this time. I've got a flower. We've had flowers. We've had that one. These are fish. We've got a star. Good. We've got the eye. We've got the house. We've got the hand. Stop. The hand. We've got a little bumblebee. We've got a cell phone. Don't know how that's going to work. We've got a smiley face. There we go. Right. So hopefully that gives us... Now, let me see if I can catch up. Contemporary sundial maintenance and repair. Mike, I love it. We're putting that down. Temp. Contemporary. Oh, contemporary. What did I do wrong? Why is it doing that? Sundial. Sundial maintenance. Maintenance and repair. I like it. I like it. I think that's a clever idea. Civic maintenance contains both our ideas. Right. It does, to a certain degree. So, yep, true. I'm just going to leave both books up, basically. I'm not going to take them out. You guys, you throw away what you don't need. And Lauren, you do not need to be sorry about being late. Inseparable. Well, yeah. I know some people use both. Like, that's fine too. I use them both at various times. I've been using stones for PCs, counters for counters, maps. Okay, all right. Yes, I'm still alive. I do keep notes when I am DMing a campaign. My notes are usually terrible on paper. The best place to actually, you have to decide where you can find everything easily and where your players will find everything easily. I just use Facebook and create a private group. My current group do that right now with so my friend one of my friends is DMing. I am playing in that campaign, and he has a secret group, and he just puts everything up there. Oh, let's run out of water. So yes, I do keep notes. It's look, if you have a long campaign, you kind of need to do that. If you're making your own stuff up, you'll find you'll need to do that. Otherwise, you'll forget stuff. It's happened to me. I still do. I will forget to write something down, forget it, and then lose it, and then I'm like, oh no. How I take notes, you do not want to see how I take notes. I've showed people my private Facebook group with my notes on it. I have showed people that. If you really want me to pull up those things and then scroll through and show you all of that stuff, that's fine. I think we will not consider that something I do today, but we'll see how the future holds. Like, if things go well, you may have to tolerate me a lot more. I'm going to say an unpopular opinion. I think the VTT in D&D 1 should be really good thing, like Theatre of the Mind myself. Yeah, look. People have tried to do. Here's the problem with a virtual tabletop that's three-dimensional. You've got to have enough computing power. That means everybody who's going to use it needs to have a big enough, strong enough computer, a good enough internet connection. How many of you already struggle using a virtual tabletop that's two-dimensional, and you're not even using webcams and you're just using voice? Like, it's a nice idea, but the reality is everybody would have to be super wealthy to be able to make it work. So I wouldn't get too connected to the one D&D virtual tabletop that's being developed. All right, Derry. I tie a string to a finger to remember what the players say. Okay. Oh, how the hand stopped in the name of love. That is is that a name of a title? I'm going to write that down. That's quite weird though. How the hand stop in the name of love. Was this intended to go up here? Because you don't have to tell me. I just wrote it. So, okay, all right. What's this? A hands-off approach to casual botany in casual environments, in hostile environments. Really, I'm really gonna struggle. These are titles are getting a little bit long, dude. Like a hands-off approach to casual. Zany is going to occur because one, I'm zany, and so I'm sure I bring out and attract that kind of person. And if I don't, you may wind up going that way. Sorry. Hostile environments. Okay. I might need to roll those dice again, but let me just see if I can catch up. +1 learning shorthand. The book. The Happy Call of the Honeycomb. A self-help book. Fender. I'm going to write that down. I'm falling way behind here. But we'll do the best we can. The Sorry, not book. The. Actually, hashtag the means I know it's a book title. That's kind of helpful, I have to say. The Happy Call of the Honeycomb. Honeycomb. Okay. It's a self-help book. A self-help book. I'm not going to read too much into that. Anyone interested in learning to type as fast as a human being can speak? Yeah, yeah. It's not going to be me. I won't be any good at it. Connect. Could handle the VTT. Yeah, look. Some people will be fine with the VTT, but others won't. Okay, Chris Perkins' style of DMing was always my favourite. Yeah, I like Chris Perkins' approach to doing things. Yep. The Happy Call of the Honeycomb. Suggestions, happiness, sweetness. Yeah, I think it's a good title. That's why I wanted to put it down. Hello all. Thumbs up, everyone. Thank you, Robert Moore. I do appreciate it. Thumbs up. Join in the party. Let's do some more. 9 dice makes a lot of words. You do not need to. Right. Okay. That's it. I'm taking some away. Like if you. That's why the titles are getting longer and longer. I'm gonna roll 3 dice out of those 9. Good. We've got some ones. We've got sheep. I know plenty about sheep because I'm in New Zealand. Apparently. A rainbow and a key. I need a drink of water. I'm also going to need a lozenge. Because, oh my gosh. Do you know what I find funny? Is that even though you can see the dice being rolled and you can see my head, it's not like you can see my face. Because I've got my head down and I'm typing. So, why have I got a camera pointing at my face? So that you can see the top of my hat. I think that's more what's going on here. So let's have a look. What we got here. Oops, what's this? Unlock your inner self by shagging a... I'm not putting that in. No, it's not happening. You don't have to use all 9. You don't have to use all 9. That's why I've put out just 3 this time. Okay. Hi, Lauren. How's it going? What's going on here? But I think I can speak for all when I say it's a collective experience that you guide and not a show. Yeah, I came to the conclusion that I needed to think tutorial rather than the formal edited video stuff. Yeah. Yep. Say it's a collective experience, and you guide and not show, not a show. You expect to perform with perfection. Exactly. John Key's Rainbow Sheep. There is no way I'm putting John Key's name in there. Or any politician, Mike. It's not going to happen. But Rainbow Sheep, we can keep that. I could even live with Key's Rainbow Sheep. Because nobody's going to understand what the heck that's all about. And also, it's a bizarre title. There's no way that players aren't going to want to know what that's all about. So thank you, Lauren. Okay, Face is a real thing. Talking Heads is a great band. Talking Heads. That's right. It's actually Talking Heads is a New Zealand band. Yes. It was. The Simple Joys of Farming. Oh, good. Well done. I like it. I'm going to roll these dice again. Maybe some different ones this time. we've got a flower, a moon, and a flying plane. How are you supposed to work with that? I don't know. But we need to put this down. The simple joys of farming. Next, we're going to put that there. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Book, hashtag, good, thank you. The Colourful Kiwi. There's actually a book called The Colourful Kiwi. You probably already know this. This is why you put it down. I used to have a lot more. So I have the original, and then I have the enchanted set. That's another 3. So in terms of cubes, I have 12. But you can get a lot more than that. Veloso Rex, how's it going? Farming. Sand in my vessel. Okay, all right. Do sheep go to heaven? A novel about farmers doing nefarious deeds. Fender, you're really on fire today, aren't you? Let's do that. I'm going to get rid of these dice because you guys are going to come up with more weird stuff otherwise. I'm going to move that out of the way. Clock, dice, and an arrow. Well, that'll be tough. Do sheep go to heaven? It's a novel. Remember, we're in a fantasy world. They're looking for fantasy related stuff. So let's not get too attached to our own world. Okay. It'll definitely get a laugh from the players, I'm sure. Druids, magic, or both. I'm not sure what you're trying to say there. Of mucky stalls, feeding, da-da-da. Okay. The simple pain in the neck. Really? The moon flight of the petals. Really? Kangaroos through. God, jeez. The simple pain in the neck. Oh, I can hear the little ones coming in. Here they come. Be prepared. It'll be happy noises, by the way, people. You can be assured, the children are not unhappy here. The moonlight. The moonlight flight of petals. I'm going to give you 4 dice in a second. So let's take those there. 4 dice. You don't have to use all of them. Please don't. I'm going to ditch that. I don't want that. Yeah, they'll give you the fish, the wand, the star, and the world. John B, we are playing use the dice to come up with book titles that we can put onto our shelves so that when we don't get stuck, when the players say, so I search the bookshelf, what books do I find? Here we go. Flight of the Night Blossom. Good. So you guys are pretty good at doing books by the looks of it. Got this sussed, haven't you? That wasn't too hard. I had that little work thing I had to do. So we're using story cubes here and using the ideas on the cubes that I present, and you're coming up with a book title. That's the idea here. Tea and herbal levitation. Mike, okay, we'll do that. We'll put that down. Oh, that's moonflower tea and herbal levitation. Nice. Moonflower tea and herbal levitation. Levitation. Am I going to be able to see that? Levitt. Come on, Fred. Get it. Eyes. Getting old. There. Did I work? Hopefully. I do. Free for all. We are free for all today, baby. Free for all. The flighty night blossom takes a mad druid. Still alive. Your favourite published D&D campaign setting? It's Ravenloft's Curse of Strahd. A D&D campaign like a world like the Forgotten Realms or Mystara or Planescape. Actually, I like Theros. I know that's Magic the Gathering, but that book is awesome. I can't tell you how easy it has been to put everything together. It's superior in every way to anything they've done for 5e. Superior. Clock, die, arrow, a tomb that grants proficiency with one set of gambler's tools. We're just going with the titles. I'm not going to give it powers today. A sheep is too racy. Yeah, that sheep can be racy, mate. You got to be careful of that. People go a bit nuts on those sometimes. You can't cheat time. A guide to cheating acquaintances and games of luck. Core blimey. What a handful. You can't. I think you wanted it to be in capitals. Cheat time. A guide to cheating acquaintances. We're just going to do that. We're not going to get too carried away. Acquaintances. I'm going to get this sorted out, probably. In games of luck. I got it all in. Oh, God, blimey. What are you hiding here? What am I hiding? I don't know what I'm hiding. Can you show that? Okay, it's not a big deal. Of beach and vermin. Beach and vermin. I'm not sure what to do with that. Beach and vermin. Lauren, you're gonna have to give me a bit more to work with. Of beach and vermin. I don't know. Oh, what's that? Somebody's put down something cool. Shimmering Tales, Law of the Water Elemental Plane. All right, I need to roll some more dice because you guys are... I'm starting to catch up, but... Here's a speech bubble. Moth. No way, no more sheep. An L, a hand, and some scales. Like, good luck with that one. Here we go. This is what we want. Shimmering Tales. That's law of the what's that? Water elemental planes. Good, nice. You've really thought about that one. Now, if I'm not doing a lot of talking, it's because I am actually working and typing down all your ideas. Willow bark. One remedy for the lovelorn. Many ingredients of aspirin. I'm lost. I'm just gonna write down willow bark. All the rest of it, you lost me. I don't understand. Space fish. Spelljammer, right? Of course, we'd have space fish in there. Chaos. Ugly weirdo. Chaos. Sure, we can put that in. Do a little bit more with it. give us at least 2 words in there. What's this? Barbel fishes. Barbel fishes? Barbel fishes. Barbel space. Barbel fishes. Let's combine the 2. Space barbel fisheries. Now, if that doesn't cause some confusion, I don't know what will. The Dark Lord wears 1 red shoe and... right, okay. Can stick with the title. Can't cheat time. Guide to cheating friends was just info. I see. Can't cheat time. There we go. Good. Okay, I got it. I've adjusted it. Willow aspirin idea. So good though. Wise hand of justice. Okay. Wise hand of justice. I feel cool. All right, I'm going to have to move these out of the way. I'm going to grab some more dice. Am I running out of time yet? I'm going to give you 4 more minutes, people, and then we will. No, I'm not doing that one. Get an apple today. There you go. A wand again? No. I've got a book that's more interesting and a fountain. Good luck with that one, people. Where we go? Where do we go with this? This is Wise Hand of Justice. I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. Common tics of liars. Sure. Yeah. Oops, let's just move this up a bit. And scrolling down, a guide to, what's this? L for law, a guide to always winning arguments in court. Okay. Guide to always, always winning arguments in law. I feel like maybe I've arguments in court. I think maybe what your intention was not for me to do it that way. I feel it's not supposed to be the entire title. L for law. Okay. So I will do this. L for law. A guide. I think that's what you were intending out of this rather than what I put down. You let me know if I'm wrong, Fender. Rex, the beginner's guide to talking about your ways out of trouble. No, that's too long. How many seeds are really in a kiwi? Really, Lauren? AJ and Fred. Well, yes, I suppose you could. There really isn't a war between me and AJ. We sometimes agree and sometimes we don't. Not tonight, dear, I have a headache versus Willow Bark. Okay, that's not bad. A book of common logical fallacies. do we call it a book of common logical fallacies? Let's do that. Sorry. Logical. That didn't work out. Let's try that again. Fallacies. Let's do that. Oh, what's this? So this is session 1 of 8. No, I'm still alive. This is actually lesson 6, I believe. I believe we're on lesson 6. Tomorrow we're doing skill challenges. We're going to make a trap. We're going to make the Indiana Jones trap. You know, the boulder trap with the big room and Raiders of the Lost Ark. I've done this with Wally DM on his channel before, but I'm going to break it down and we'll build the whole sodding thing. Okay, that's going to take us a little while. Don't worry, I got my notes. I'm ready to go. So we'll do a really hard one to start off with, and then we'll do other ones in the future. And then the last one will be world building. We're going to build a world in less than an hour. How's that? Responsive. Okay. Yep. Feeding en masse. How the Egyptians fed the pyramids. Oh my God. I don't know what to do with that. That's okay. Feeding. All right. Mass. How to. How feeding in a mass. How the how do we get into? I got to stop rolling that pyramid, don't I? So the pyramids are clearly going to eat people right now. Is that where we're going? Well, that didn't work out. Let's try that again. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Planting the seed of knowledge. Ugly weirdo. Okay. Seeds of knowledge. Sorry. Okay. So shit. We're on to another page. Okay. So learning how to logically facilitate. Drawing claims need to. Way above me, Jerry. Derry, you lost me completely. I started reading it and like, woof, gone. Lauren, hold on. If someone brought in an instruction book, could it work where they get an extra intercheck? Of course they could. Absolutely. I always say, try everything at least twice. If it doesn't work on the second try, then maybe you want to reconsider or just give it another shot. But yeah, it's a new kind of mimic. Infutable ignorance, same thing. It took God 6 days to create the earth, and Fred wants to create a world in an hour. Mike, I tell you now, we will build an RPG world in less than an hour. And like anybody who thinks I can't do it with you guys, I can, because I've done it before. It's all right. Just don't freak out. It can be done. Yeah. Don't laugh. It can be done. We just created 40 different titles for books. That's like a whole page of them. So just because my my opponents claims. All right. Okay. All right. So we are. Look, I'm going to stop there. We have done enough. So let's just see. That's a whole page of different books. So please adjust and alter all the ideas presented below. It is now yours. Okay, I think I got most of that sorted out. So I'm going to switch over to a different cam. And that's going to have to be not that one there. It'll be this one here. There we go. That's better. Just make sure I got it myself lined up. And we'll go back to YouTube for a second. So we did it pretty well. I honestly think that everybody did a fabulous job. The next time round we wind up doing learning to improvise, we'll have to do something else. It won't be book titles. We'll have to go with something a bit different. Like, we'll shake it up a bit. We'll figure out something else. Another big, huge list that might be actually useful to people would be nice. Yeah, I mean, look, if you want to add plus bonuses when you read these books, you could. They can just be there as fluff. They don't actually have to do anything. I find that players are actually quite happy for a lot of the stuff that they come across to actually not necessarily have a mechanical effect. They're just interested in finding something that's weird and strange. And like, you guys done a really good job of coming up with those sorts of ideas. So I think that's half the battle. I'm kind of interested in the poll. Let's have a look. Do you struggle improvising in role-play games or Dungeons and Dragons? So yes, 42%. Well, I wouldn't believe it. Not from what you guys have been doing today. No, 36%. Yeah, I can believe that. Sometimes 21%. I don't know. I mean, I think most of you have done a pretty bang up job. And obviously there's been some people who are interacting more than others, but I think really done a pretty fabulous job. But we'll come back to this exercise again. We'll do something else in the future. Won't be book titles. Okay. Yeah, look, so AJ Pickett does a whole lot of dice as well, but I feel like the Rory Story Cubes is a really good place to go, and they're good quality. They will last a long time. And you get to play that game, like, so you can practice. Remember, you got to play the game, make up a little story with your friends or your family. That's right. I did build a world in under 5 minutes. We did it very, very fast. Well, the whole point is to eliminate all of this. You wind up doing a whole lot of work and it takes you too long. Like, this is the whole point of all of this, is to give you tools so you can do things faster. Hello, Sushi Bandit. How's it going? I think the struggle is, myself included, struggle by virtue of comparison. Well, you're not going to struggle because even at the end of this week, moving on from Dungeon Master, there's 2 more I'm going to do this week. But after that, in the future, every week we'll do another Dungeon Master prep. And it'll be one of the lessons that I've covered already. And then we'll just keep rolling around. That gives me time to actually put things together into documentation and stuff and then send it off. Yep. Yep. Okay. Good. You don't have to take acting classes, Sushi Bandit. Not at all. Okay. So I think we have nailed things down, and I know I need to get going. But look, the reality is, everybody did a bang up job. I'm going to say thank you to all of my patrons for supporting me and being super patient with actually me releasing stuff. It must be pretty obvious at this point that there's a lot coming your way. And every day, yet another, I get pushed back and it becomes more complicated. The good news is that a lot of the technical stuff is being sorted out, including better lighting is coming as well. The camera mount came as well. So thank you to my patrons. Thank you for everybody who's been joining in the live streams. Thank you for the super chat today. I believe that was, I can't remember who it was. It was a Waybacks. Oh, there it is. Thank you to Still Alive for the $5 super chat. I do appreciate it. So my suggestion to you is keep working on your stuff. You're doing great. And we'll hang out again tomorrow and do some more stuff. You're going to have a lot of fun doing skill challenges. Like, we will do skill challenges like nobody's done skill challenges before. Like, seriously, it's going to be good. Anyway, thank you to everybody who took part today. And wherever you are in the world, whether it be the morning, the afternoon, the night, or the wee early morning, please look after yourself, your family, and your friends. Be nice to your neighbours. Please be nice to your neighbours. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s.